Imagine that you're on a planet that's about to self-destruct. Now, your only options are one, you can leave the planet through a spaceship, but your chances of arriving at your destination is very slim. Your second option is you can use a teleportation machine to leave the planet. The machine will create an exact copy of you with all your memories and your personality, and then it destroys the original copy. Now, which would you choose? Would you rather preserve your material body and your consciousness by leaving the planet through a spaceship, even if your chances are very slim, or would you rather preserve your consciousness for sure and have your material body destroyed through teleportation? Now here's a second thought experiment. Imagine that you acquired a disease that gradually rearranges your neural networks until eventually all your memories and your personality, your consciousness will be completely altered. Now, the only cure is to have one of your brain cells replaced by a microchip. The microchip will replace all the functions of the neuron. From your perspective, there will be no change. Now, every year, a group of your neurons will be replaced by microchips until eventually your entire brain will be composed of microchips. From your perspective, of course, nothing will have changed, but the composition of your brain is entirely different already. Would you rather keep your consciousness intact by undergoing the procedure at the cost of losing the material composition of your brain, or would you rather let the disease run its course and lose all the aspects of consciousness, all the aspects of your consciousness that make you? Assuming that the main impetus for going with one choice over the other is to preserve the continuity of the self, or in other words, to not die. Where should I base the continuity of the self upon? Should I base it on the continuity of the material body or on the continuity of the mind? Basing the continuity of the self on the continuity of the material body can be problematic, since we regenerate ourselves regularly. The body I have right now is almost completely different from the body I had a year ago. Almost all our cells get replaced. Even our brain cells get replaced, albeit at a much slower rate. Should the continuity of the self be independent of the cells and be entirely in the consciousness they produce? If you were able to reproduce a man's consciousness down to the most insignificant memory, would that reproduction still be the same person? Do you think there's such a thing as a seat of the self? If so, where is it? By self, I mean the perspective from which I see the world, which is different from the perspective from which you see the world. What determines which perspective you're going to be aware of? Is that a property of the material composition of our brains? If we regenerate our brain cells, even just partly, what is the implication of that? If the cells that produce our consciousness die and get replaced, even just partly, then it can be said that the coherence of an individual is held together by nothing more than his sense of self and his memories, and that the material constitution of the brain wouldn't make any difference to the illusion of self that it creates. Still, the question begs to be asked. By not wanting to die, what is it that you're trying to preserve?